I did. That's the problem. It's always something I did. I didn't do shit. I didn't do anything. Today, we did a program last night. Today, the Apple doesn't want to connect to the internet. I don't know what to say.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
and young enough to do.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. But it's Kennedy for me. Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who'll bring the job a fresh new point of view. Well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. Because it's Kennedy for me. And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights, to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. And it's Kennedy for me. Kennedy. Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you'll cast your vote for Kennedy, and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. And it's Kennedy for me.
Somehow, barely, welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, in these United States, Western Hemisphere, North American continent, on this planet Earth, the only one we have, third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Kennedy Effect, TKE tonight for the 6th of August, 2024, barely. If you happen to catch us in what was a very rushed and shortened and harried pre-show, you would have heard me. No, let me try that again. You would have heard me clapping back at George, because every time there's a technical problem, it's my computer and the guy running it, and I don't I don't always disagree with that, but for whatever reason, the big Macintosh that's in front of you, do we even still call them Macintosh? Might have just dated myself there. That I run the program on primarily. I even forgot to turn lights on. Decided not to connect to the internet pretty much at all today. Even with a solid plugged-in Ethernet connection, it still wouldn't find the internet. I had to restart. And then, of course, what does George say? Well, it's the operating system. Yes, because somewhere in the last 23 hours, the Apple just decided to take a shit and decide, you know what? I don't feel like working on it tonight. I think I want to take a day off. Well, whatever. That said, let me just get to. Maybe I should turn my lights on. Want to see some pre-production fun? I'll turn my lights on. All the lights that I did not get to turn on. I think somebody unplugged this one for me. That was nice. Yeah, I only have a radio show to do. Let's just unplug everything. That's not a problem. We can just do that. That's okay. Yeah, you don't need that, right? We don't need. Straight to it. I would like to tell you about the or not. We continue to be blocked on there. But we are live right now on my personal Facebook page, Jeff Kennedy. We are live on YouTube, That Other Side of Information. We are live on Twitch, Jeff R. Kennedy, live on my LinkedIn at Jeff Kennedy as well. And I believe we might even be on the GCPR Facebook. I have no clue, to be honest with you, but we are out there. The audio, of course, is coming to you live and around the globe via the website Voscast, VOSCAST, and the adjoining app called Shoutcast, SHOUTCAST. It is an app that you can download to your phone for free. You can find us there. Just search for GCPR.live. Ghost Claw Productions Radio. GCPR.live. That is also the name of our website. I have put the web link in the chat as I always do. A hearty good evening to George and to all of our regular listeners and to our listeners literally around the globe. A special hello to the listeners throughout Europe and in South America. We're thrilled to have you, no matter where you might be on this quiet little neighborhood called Earth of ours. Very happy to have you here. Well, the big story of the day is quite obvious. We have a VP pick. And it's interesting that we were just talking about this last night. Mike, who is here, and I'm grateful that he is. I'm grateful that all of you are here, of course. That isn't this the big story, her pick. And I mentioned to him and all of you last night that I didn't think it was a story until she made one. Well, she made one, so now it's a story. She has, Vice President Harris has picked for her running mate the two-term, well, he's in his second term now, halfway through his second term, Governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, W-A-L-Z. It's not Waltz. There's no T in there. It is W-A-L-Z, Walz. And he is, I think he's an excellent pick. And I think for most of you out there thinking, well, Progressive Democrat, state committee member, all that fun stuff, of course you're going to support the pick. I told you last night that there are picks that I thought were worse than others. This is a solid pick. And it appears, while it has done, or has been done, in a very rushed time frame, it appears that all of the due diligence and interviewing and discussions and all of that were done. And this is Vice President Harris's pick, Governor Tim Walz. And I think it's a solid pick, not just because of my party affiliation and not just because I want to see the vice president win the White House. And in no small measure save democracy. But I happen to think it's a genuinely smart pick. Now, I do think it is a safe pick. But safe does not always mean bad. I think one of the words that has really been lost in politics, probably since the onset of the Reagan era, and certainly since the George W. Bush era, is the P word, pragmatism. That sometimes you just have to be pragmatic. You just have to do what's best, even if it isn't exactly what you want to see done. I think pragmatism kind of encompasses not settling as such, not compromising your beliefs, but being able to compromise with others and work with others and potentially be able to take a step back in the short term to make further steps forward in the long term. Pragmatism is and should be alive and shouldn't really be something that we should be afraid of. Pragmatism is perfectly fine. But this is a pragmatic pick, and I think most people tend to look at pragmatism as somehow, like I said, you're selling out or you're compromising your beliefs or your backing off of your core principles. I don't think pragmatism and settling are the same thing. Pragmatism is exactly that. It's pragmatism. It's, like I said, it's possibly losing the battle to win the war, or saying, you know what, I can't get everything that I want here, but I can, of course, I can get some of it, which is better than none. That to me is pragmatism. This is a pragmatic pick. It was a safe pick, but at the same time, I think it is an excellent pick. Governor Walz is obviously a older middle-aged white gentleman from the Midwest. He is a fundamentally different person than Kamala Harris. He's a fundamentally different person, not just because he's Caucasian and male. He grew up completely differently. He was born in what I'm told from reporting is a microscopic town in Nebraska. You know, your typical sort of one stoplight town, who then moved on to Minnesota. He's a teacher. He was a football coach. His wife is a teacher. He has put through, quite simply, one of the single most progressive records as a governor anywhere in this country, having been the spearhead for passing such legislation in Minnesota as free breakfast and lunch for every student in Minnesota. The day after the Dobbs decision, or it might have been the same day even, he signed a bill into law codifying a woman's right in his state. He made it state law. When Republicans allowed the child tax credit, the Biden child tax credit, to expire, he pushed through a state version. Minnesota is one of the top 10 states for business. It is one of the top 10 states to raise children. It is among, if not the healthiest state in the country. And that's at the same time being the home state of United Healthcare, one of the largest health insurance banks in the country. He passed a red flag law for people owning weapons and expanded background checks. He raised taxes on the wealthiest to pay for programs. And Minnesota is booming. It is a growing state. It is a happy state. A state that was a genuinely purple state. Mr. Walz, I believe it was spent 10 years in the House of Representatives and left his House seat to run for governor. His House seat had not been held by a Democrat since before the Civil War, since before Minnesota was a state. And he flipped it and held it for 5 terms. And when he did not run again to run for governor, it immediately went back to a Republican seat. He won his first governor's race by 10 points, won the second one by even more. He is exceptionally popular in Minnesota with people from all political persuasions. He's an excellent pick. He has a real record to run on. He has a record that is directly reflective of what the vice president wants to do as president. Governor Walz just made this, he's going to help make this an issue-based campaign. Or at least, hopefully, more issue-based than it has been. He can talk economy because he's run one. The state economy of Minnesota is exceptionally strong. They have the highest bond rating that any governmental entity can obtain, a AAA bond rating. They have no debt. This is a solid pick. And then on a more pragmatic point of view, Minnesota borders Wisconsin. That should help. It should help throughout the Midwest. This is a Midwest man. I would say he's a Midwest man with Midwest values, but, to be honest with you, I think Midwest values are American values. I don't think they are the exclusive domain of Midwesterners. But he is a Midwest guy. He's a hunter. He's a gun owner. At the same time, passing red flag laws and expanded background checks. He's done some of the things that Democrats on a national level have always said that they would do and didn't, because we always sort of convinced ourselves, oh, wait, a national abortion ban? That'll never happen. It'll never happen. Well, we don't exactly have a national abortion ban, but half the country's banned it. And if you're Texas, they want to be able to track you across the country in case you go somewhere else to receive abortion care. So anyway, he's also a pragmatic pick because he's been an executive. He runs his state. For the vast wealth of experience that Vice President Harris would bring to the White House, she has not been the chief executive of anything. And that's not always a bad thing. That's why you balance it out with someone who has been the head of government. Governor Walz is, of course, I don't need to teach you all civics, the head of the Minnesota government. He is the executive. He is the head of the executive branch in the state of Minnesota. It's good to have someone as your partner in this campaign who has been an executive, who has run a government. President Biden himself has said that every major decision that has happened in this administration he has made with the vice president, with Kamala Harris in the room. But it's still not the same as being president. And I don't know that it's the same as being a governor. And I did not get to see all of the speeches today. I'm told that Josh Shapiro gave an outstanding speech at the rally in Philadelphia today. I did not get to see a lick of it. I told you, because I got to work for a living, I didn't see it. I told you last night that I did not think he was a good pick for purely ideological reasons, not because he's a bad human being, but because he supports policies I don't support. He supports policies that simply are, in my humble opinion, anathema to the Democratic Party. He's a swing state governor. He's a chief executive of a state. Yes, he would have brought that with him too. But I didn't think he was the best pick. Governor Walz is a better pick. I didn't think, to be honest with you, I didn't think the vice president had any bad choices, but there were better choices than others. And she made an excellent choice. She made an excellent choice. Now, Governor Walz gave an excellent speech in Philadelphia today as Vice President Harris introduced him to the country, or introduced him at least to the parts of the country that may not know him. He gave a fantastic speech. I don't think he's going to, throughout the remainder of this campaign, and we're under 90 days, if I recall. I think we're under 90 days. I think we're at 89 days. I don't think he's going to make anyone forget Teddy Roosevelt or John Kennedy or Barack Obama or any of the truly just captivating, stunning political speakers that we've had in the history of our country. I don't think Governor Walz is going to make you forget any of them. But he took the stage with confidence, with energy, with vim and vigor, if you will, and laid out a clear message that it's the Democratic Party that stands for freedom. It's the Democratic Party that stands for personal privacy and liberty. It's the Democratic Party that wants everyone to have a piece of the pie. We are the ones running on the economy. We are the ones offering solutions. Even if you don't agree with all of those solutions, we're the only ones offering any. We are running on a future, not the grievance and the retribution of the past. We're not the ones unless you're Senator Menendez of New Jersey, we're not the ones that are convicted felons. And I think the best thing he had to say throughout that speech, when it came to a woman's bodily autonomy, because I don't think abortion is just about abortion. It's about misogyny and power and control. It's about returning the majority of the population of this country. It's about returning them under the thumb of the minority. Women are the majority of the population of this country, 54 to 56%, if I'm not mistaken. And yet, middle-aged and wealthier and Christian nationalist white men want to return them under the thumb. To which Governor Walz had a very simple message. Mind your own damn business. Remember when the Republican Party used to be that way? Remember when Republicans used to talk about personal liberty, personal responsibility? Keep government out of my bedroom, keep government out of my house. Don't let government tell me how to live. The only thing Republicans can tell you now is how to live. Because out of one side of their mouth, they might still try to hoist that old line on top of you. On the other hand, they're saying, oh yeah, you can live your own life, but not if I don't agree with it. And generally, their disagreements with how you live their life are costing billionaires money. Whatever generates more money for the billionaires, that's the Republican platform. Tax cuts, giveaways to build factories, tax cuts to offshore jobs, spending billions at the United States Navy to safeguard shipping, creating millions of new soldiers for the defense industry with the 2025 Project 2025 proposed testing that would have to happen or that would take place for public school students to become part of the military. Nothing about their so-called platform is forward thinking. None of it looks to the future. None of it provides leadership. None of it provides issues or answers. It provides hate, anger, retribution, retaliation, jealousy, anger. Governor Walz introduced himself to the country tonight to say, we are none of those things in this party. And to say that I don't think that's who we are as a country. A very plain message, a message that I believe, that I have stated on this program repeatedly, that I believe Democrats should be using surrounding the issue of abortion. That I wish no woman ever would have to make such a decision. But if she is in that position, it's none of my damn business. It's not my business. It just isn't. Unless the woman in question decides to make me part of that decision. Otherwise, it's not up to me. Mind your own damn business. That fits on a bumper sticker really nicely. And it also encapsulates an entire argument around freedom. And remember what Franklin Roosevelt said about freedom. That unless a man, remember he was speaking in the 30s and 40s, so unless a man is economically secure, how can he be truly free? Because the constant worry and stress over the ability to finance your own life is a form of imprisonment. It denies you freedom. Now, Governor Walz didn't exactly use that quote today, but it is at the core of his message. It is the Democratic Party, the only functioning political party left in this country, that has a platform for freedom, personal liberty, personal health choices, and economic freedom. And mind your own damn business really does seem to encapsulate that quite well. I look forward to the remainder of this campaign. I look forward to Governor Walz on a debate stage with Senator Vance. That will be theater. That will truly be something. I don't expect either one of them to debate at this point. I believe Trump will like he does in court, like he does with all of his court cases, file a brief here, make a motion here. He'll say, oh yeah, sure, I want to. Yeah, well, that day doesn't win. I don't know. The lights are a little hot. It's raining outside. At the end of the day, I don't think there will be any debates. And he will stall and hem and haw and keep telling his own people how ready he is to, I can't wait to stand on the stage with Kamala Harris. Let's remember this. Donald Trump is now the oldest man ever to run for the presidency. And yet somehow, after serving for 4 years, still doesn't quite understand the office. He might yet still be the least experienced person ever to run for it, even after being there for 4 years. Because then again, he was there for 4 years, but he only worked about a third of the time he was there. So this campaign just got interesting. Campaigns are not made, or they don't make or break on the VP pick. But VP picks say a lot about the top of the ticket. And this one was the right one. Within 48 hours of Trump picking Vance, you started to hear whispers out of the Trump campaign that they picked the wrong guy. Well, the top of the ticket makes that pick. What a shock. Trump made another shit pick. The first presidential act of a presidential candidate is to pick their running mate. She got it right, and he didn't. And I suspect that neither of them will debate. And that's a shame for democracy. It really is. It's a shame for democracy. Not only would I like to see the theater of it, because I think a prosecutor standing on a stage with a convicted felon would be gripping television. But it's also good for democracy. 8:31 Eastern Time, a mere 20... Wait. Oh, there's nobody after us. Is there somebody after us? No, there isn't. There was someone before us. By the way, who watched the help desk today? Anyone? You better have. You better have. If Donna didn't watch the help desk, I think she's going to go on suspension. I'm so sorry. My throat is exceptionally scratchy. I'm not sure what. I don't know if it's what I had for dinner or what. But anyway, let me know what you think. Tell me what you think of this VP pick. This is the Kennedy Effect, TKE tonight, live for the 6th of August, 2024. We are live right now on my personal Facebook page, Jeff Kennedy. We are live on our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information. And by the way, if you ever miss any of our programs, the single easiest, best place to go back and watch them, if you should choose to do so, is our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information. George is scheduled to come here to the house on the 17th and do major upgrades, and I need to clean this room before he gets here. But that said, to do some major tech upgrades, and I'm hoping by that point, all of these technical things, no internet, and can't share the program to these video platforms and blah blah blah, that all of this will be fixed. So you only need to hang in there with us for, we hope, I'm knocking on wood, we hope, for another, well, here, I'll knock on wood up here too, for another maybe 2 weeks or so. I think we'll have it all straightened out after that. Please, so we are live on our YouTube channel, best place to go if you missed any of the program. And, we do 7 hours a week, doesn't sound like a lot. An hour a night, 4 nights a week, and then 3 hours on a Sunday. It doesn't sound like a lot unless you have to sit here. It can be a lot, and it's a lot to listen to, and it's a lot to catch up on. So if you ever miss any of our programs, especially to the folks who might be joining us on Twitch for the first time, might be on LinkedIn, if you ever miss any of our programs, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/That Other Side of Information is the best place to catch up on all things surrounding the Kennedy Effect and TKE tonight. Our plan is to be with you tomorrow from 8 and Thursday from 8. Not sure about Sunday yet. We have some family obligations, and obligations make them sound like onerous. I can't wait to do these things. I love hanging out with the family, so we do have some family obligations on Sunday. Not sure that we're going to be here with you, but then again, it's summer. I think we can skip a Sunday every now and then. Nobody will get too darn upset. But that said, we are live on Facebook, my personal Facebook, youtube.com/That Other Side of Information. Jeff Kennedy on LinkedIn, Jeff R. Kennedy on Twitch, and Twitter's still fighting with us. And of course, the audio portion of our program, very proud to say, on the brand new, I don't know if it's brand new in the 5th week, but I think we still have some new car smell, GCPR.live, GCPR.live, Ghost Claw Productions Radio.live. Comes to you through a website called Voscast, VOSCAST. You can Google it and find it. You can listen to us there. The app that goes with Voscast is called Shoutcast, SHOUTCAST. You can download it and find us and listen to us through the app. GCPR.live. Following us, you get a bit of a break. Go walk the dog, make some popcorn, get some ice cream. Close your eyes for a few minutes. Go back and watch the speeches from the rally in Philadelphia. 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Conversations with T. Nathan comes up after us right here on GCPR.live. And don't forget, tomorrow morning from 8 a.m., The Sound of Coffee. Thomas McCormick, the villain. Thomas, Sergeant Mac returns to you. 8 a.m. I always want to say 8 p.m. when I'm going through this run. 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, The Sound of Coffee. It's all right here on GCPR.live. Now, Mike and George are having a fight about about upgrading these computers, and I don't even know what does that word mean? What does that word mean?
Ubuntu is an operating system.
Okay.
Ubuntu is the newest one. It's supposed to mimic actually Windows 11. So.
Oh, well, anything that mimics Windows is probably crap. But
Ubuntu can be done on a dual boot with Windows, so you can have Ubuntu. It's kind of
run on the Apples anyway.
It's kind of like a flavor of Linux.
It wouldn't run on these anyway.
It would run on Mac, yeah.
Oh. So is Mike suggesting that it's a better choice?
I'm
not sure I follow.
Well, he just want to know if the help desk can do Ubuntu. I said,
yeah. Of course you can.
Yeah.
Come on, stop with these silly questions. Of course he can. Nothing beyond his control. When we build a full-scale Enterprise A, it's George's going to wire the whole damn thing. I mean, geez, come on.
I had a triple boot on one of my computers. I had Ubuntu, Windows, and Linux Red Hat, actually. So.
See, I know Linux still exists, but I can't say that. It sounds like it seems to me it was one of those things that was much more part of the lexicon, so to speak, than it is now. And then it was always a sort of an insider's operating system, much more than I would ever know. But I'm straying well outside of my knowledge base right here. I really should shut up about it.
No, that's right.
Don't.
Ubuntu is it's just another flavor of Linux, but it's more GUI based, which is graphical user interface like Windows. So.
And let me just drop in the chat really quick here. I know it's not the greatest radio in the world. Let me just quickly go to the Associated Press and see what other big stories that there are today. Anyway, I will. I'll take your comments and questions. Of course, I always do. Phone line is open: 267-227-9189. Yeah. It's the old-fashioned way. Sorry, can't help you with that bit. It's the old-fashioned way, but you can give us a call. And I do want to bring up a couple of quick other notes. Tropical storm Debbie continues to work its way across the southeast. Even though it is only a tropical storm so far, and when I say only, I mean it's all relative, isn't it? That it is a tropical storm, so the winds, while still very forceful, are no longer hurricane strength, but it is soaking. It is moving slowly and dropping massive amounts of rain everywhere that it is going. It has already hit coastal cities in Georgia and South Carolina and is working its way up the coast. We are expecting, here in the Lehigh Valley, we are expecting to get rain from it later this week. Charleston, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia have received already a foot of rain. A foot of rain. And I know certainly when we were kids, one of the easiest ways for a math teacher to teach us ratios was how much snow equaled an inch of rain, and it was 10-1. That for every inch of rain, you would get 10 inches of snow out of that. It was the same moisture, the same precipitation. So think of that, which is kind of strange to think about. A foot of rain or 120 inches of snow. I mean, it's just a different way to think of it. It doesn't say that it's, you have to think of it that way, but I think it's one way to think of it. There was a military coup in Bangladesh, but somehow, and a coup by lots of civil unrest from the young population. And again, a younger population saying we deserve better. And they actually, instead of it becoming violent and going in a very bad direction, they actually picked a gentleman who is a Nobel laureate to be the head of the country. So even though we see, there was violence, sadly, but we're not a full-scale civil war, thank goodness. It seems that they have tried to maintain a work toward democracy. Last night we spent a lot of time talking about the economy and the crash of the stock market that took place yesterday. I told you not to panic about it. I told you that the relative percentages that each market had dropped really wasn't all that high. The article that I read for you last night talked about a very within one sentence it talked about the deep doom and gloom that even gold had lost part of its value, 1%. Well, I bring you the response article, which is exactly what I told you last night was going to happen. I think the so-called crash yesterday was profit taking. I don't think it was anything more than that. Large investors saw an opening to sell, to dump a whole bunch of stock and make billions, and that's exactly what they did. Now, in that type of scenario, the companies that are traded lose value, but it always comes back. Apple lost billions in its company value yesterday. It's still $1 trillion company. I wouldn't cry for Apple. They're not going anywhere. But I told you this was a very brief thing. Told you it was profit taking. I told you it was big investors trying to screw other investors, because investors always make money. They always make money. There might be a group of them that make money on this one particular thing while the others might lose, but then the others always come back and get them back on the other one. Dateline New York, the article is written by Stan Cho of the Associated Press. The headline, calm returns to Wall Street and stocks bounce back after their worst drop in nearly 2 years. A rising tide swept stocks higher and calm returned to Wall Street after Japan's market soared earlier Tuesday to claw back much of the losses from its worst day since 1987. That's exactly what I told you would happen. I am not an economist. I am not a fortune teller. I cannot see into the future. Trust me, if I could, I would have won the lottery by now multiple times. And if I had won that lottery, George and I would be doing this show from a proper television studio, radio studio, nice storefront somewhere where people could walk past and the public could see us broadcast, and we'd have a home for GCPR, not my bedroom. But I don't think you needed to be an economist to know that what happened yesterday to the markets was extremely temporary. And it turns out to be exactly that, a one-day blip. By the way, that one-day blip, that volatility, and the global panic that it sparked is a living advertisement to return, to reinstate, to reinforce, to all of the financial reforms and oversight that were passed by Congress as a part of the New Deal. The economy was stable in this country for 50 years following the New Deal. Only, 1932 to 1981. 50 years, about 50 years. And Reagan took it all apart. And now we see these wild swings. Yesterday, it's the end of the world. Companies lose hundreds of billions in value. And today they got it all back. The S&P climbed 1% to break a brutal 3-day losing streak. It had tumbled a bit more than 6% on a raft of concerns, including worries about the Federal Reserve had pressed the brakes too hard for too long. We talked about that yesterday. The Dow Jones rose 0.8% again today. I think the loss from Monday was only 2.1%. So half of those have already gained back. The Nasdaq gained back about half of its losses. The Japanese market already got all theirs back. I told you this was a blip. It's exactly what it was. It's investors playing with monopoly money. It just is. It's investors playing monopoly. And sometimes with your money. Because the 401ks are they're stocks. They're traded on the stock market. It's not a savings account. that's where does the money come into your 401k? Because it's you, when you fill out your 401k, you decide what stocks to trade. And sometimes you lose and sometimes you win. I don't know. It's what I said it was, and I'm not smart for that. I don't take any genuine pleasure in it. I'm not smarter than anybody. But it is what I said it was. Here's an interesting side note as well. Mike, called the program last week, said we don't focus enough on the positive. I'll take that criticism. I don't know that I agree with it, but I'll take it because it's fair. It's his opinion. He is allowed to have it. And the debate over such things is what fuels this country. It's good for us. We learn from each other when we have those discussions. I think the first half hour of the program was extremely positive, talking about Governor Walz becoming the vice presidential nominee. The economic news is positive. Now I guess I need to turn to a little bit of reality. Or I shouldn't say that the other things are not reality, but a little more of the darker side of reality. Headline, Seattle, Associated Press. This article is written by Hallie Golden, who is the author of this article. Hallie Golden of the Associated Press, reporting from Seattle, Washington. Republican congressman who voted to impeach Trump fights to survive Washington primary. Here's yet another allegory on how deeply the former political party known as Republicans have sunk and how much of a cult it really, really is. Washington state voters are deciding in Tuesday's primary, that would be today, and the polls will probably close out there maybe 11 p.m. Eastern time. If they close at 8, I'm thinking that they close at 8. So they're probably closing 11 p.m. Eastern time. So if you can't sleep well, you might be able to see, look at the AP and get some results on this race around midnight, maybe even as early as 11:30. Washington state voters are deciding in Tuesday's primary between United States Representative Dan Newhouse, one of the last remaining House Republicans who voted to impeach Donald Trump, and two conservative rivals endorsed by the GOP presidential nominee. Here's a really politically savvy guy, Trump. He endorsed both of the other candidates. That's about the most Trumpy thing you could do. And if Representative Newhouse should happen to win this primary, don't be surprised if within 48 hours Trump comes out and says, I was with him the whole time. Other high-profile races include the battle to become the next governor in a Democratic stronghold that hasn't had an open race for the state's top job in more than a decade. Newhouse's bid for a 6th term has meant going up against Trump-endorsed candidates, plural, Jared Sessler, a Navy veteran, and Tiffany Smiley, a former nurse who entered the race after losing to U.S. Senator Patty Murray 2 years ago. Trump's backing for Sessler came months ago, while his endorsement for Smiley happened 3 days before the primary, making a unique, though not unprecedented, dual endorsement by the ex-president. Bright as a broken light bulb. Anyway, there's an article also from the AP talking about how Trump labeled yesterday's stock market quote-unquote crash a Kamala crash. It gained it all back today. So does that mean it was a Kamala run? Does that mean it was a Kamala bull market? Fool. Sometimes you have to take a breath. Kind of read the room. If stocks had continued to drop today, and then maybe wait till Wednesday and they were still heading further down, or at least we're not heading back up, maybe Trump would have had a really good reason to go out on a rally and blame the administration. But when world markets recover, nearly everything they had lost in a 24-hour cycle, seems pretty damn stupid to me to blame the present administration. Read the room. Take a breath. Take a look around and see what's going on. But not Trump. Bull in a china shop. Except that he doesn't know what a bull is, and he doesn't know what China is, other than a place things come from, and a place that he couldn't build hotels. President Zelensky of Ukraine held a news conference outside of the very first American-made F-16 that was delivered to the Ukrainian Army, Ukrainian Air Force, telling people that this is a big deal, and it is. The byline is somewhere in Ukraine, because they didn't report exactly where Zelensky was so that he couldn't be the target of an attack. This again is the Associated Press. Ukraine's Zelensky displays newly arrived F-16 fighter jets, plural. He spoke in front of one of them, but they have received multiple jets, to combat Russia in the air. Where did I get that from? The article is written by Andrew Meldrum, Meldrum. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Andrew. Andrew Meldrum, the author of the article. And again, the date line is somewhere in Ukraine. Ukraine's newly arrived F-16 fighter jets were put on display Sunday, this goes back obviously, by President Volodymyr Zelensky, who said the planes will boost the country's war effort against Russia. Quote, "These jets are in our sky, and today you see them," said Zelensky, standing in front of two of the fighter jets. Oh, I thought he was only in front of one. The picture I saw, he was only in front of one, but regardless, in front of two of them, okay. In front of two of the fighter jets as two others flew overhead in close formation. Quote, "It's good that they are here and that we can put them to use," unquote. Ukraine is also trying to get neighboring countries to help defend it against Russian missiles, Zelensky said. Quote, "The decision is probably a difficult one for our partners, as they are always afraid of unnecessary escalation," unquote, said Ukraine's president. Quote, "We will work on this. I think we have a good option of a NATO-Ukraine Council, so that NATO countries could talk to Ukraine about the possibility of a small coalition of neighboring countries that would shoot down enemy missiles." That would be a game changer. The Russians have had almost free reign of the skies over Ukraine, both with their aircraft, their drones, and their missiles. Israel is very fond of talking about the Iron Dome that shoots down about 98, I think, plus percent of the missiles that are shot at it. Doesn't get 100%, but it's not very high 90s. If Ukraine could even get half of that, it would be a game changer. It would force Russia to rethink its use of munitions. If you're going to launch 10 missiles and you know that half of them are going to get shot down, maybe you decide not to launch the missiles in the first place. Certainly that's what happens over Israel. It doesn't seem to stop Hezbollah, but they do shoot down. Hezbollah is willing to take the one missile. They're willing to lose 99 of them for the hopes that the one that gets through does real damage. The Russians might do the same thing. Well, fine, we'll launch 100 missiles. 50 of them are going to hit. We'll take that. But considering that Russia is struggling for cash, the North Koreans and the Chinese and the Iranians can only supply them with so much before they themselves will feel that depletion. It would be a game changer for Ukraine to regain control over its own skies, and they deserve that ability. This is a very This is a great investment by the United States and NATO countries. Ukraine is willing to fight. They are willing to fight to the last to save not just a chunk of land with the name Ukraine on it on a map, but to save their very culture, to save their nationality, their language, their history. Russia does not just want to conquer Ukraine, they want to erase it. Putin has said before and on multiple occasions he doesn't believe Ukraine is a nation. He believes it to be part of Russia. So Ukraine is willing to fight to the last to save its own existence. And we should be willing to let them do that. And we should give them what they need to do that. Zelensky has never asked for troops. He's only ever asked for the material for his troops to fight on an equal footing or a better footing than the Russians. That's everything we have for you tonight. It is 7:58. We've come to the end of the program. We will return to you tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, let me ask you all, it's a very cheesy favor to ask. It's repetitive, all of that stuff. Please tell Facebook to stop blocking us. Your voice does matter there. Please, on all of our different social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, search for me, Jeff Kennedy, LinkedIn. Some of the other folks do Instagram and TikTok. Search for me. If you type my name into DuckDuckGo, you will find me. If you type GCPR into DuckDuckGo, you will find us. You will find everywhere that you can listen to us and watch us. And I very, very, very much invite you to do so. Please do so. Go to our different social medias, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps us grow. It's free. It only takes you a couple minutes to click, copy, paste, whatever it is you choose to do. And we ask you to do exactly that. We will return to you tomorrow evening from 8 p.m. Eastern. Remember, take a break, take a nap, get some milk, cookies, walk the dog, whatever it might be. Conversations with T. Nathan comes up from 11 p.m. Eastern Time right here on GCPR Live. For everybody at GCR, for Thomas, Gambit, Gilbert, T. Nathan, Ben, Brett, Pastor Best. Am I forgetting anybody? Gretchen? I don't think I'm forgetting anybody. I think I got everybody. I think I got the whole roster on that one. For everybody at GCPR, for everybody surrounding TKE tonight in the Kennedy Effect, that's Lynn and George Dare. For Kristen and Daisy the dog downstairs, I'm Jeff Kennedy. And let's, of course, never, ever, ever forget April Riddick, who started this whole radio adventure for us. She's always a part of this family. Thank you for being here again tonight. Please do your homework, kids. Spread the word about GCPR Live and our program. Like, share, subscribe on all the different platforms. Help us grow. We're asking. Thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow night. We've done all the damage we can do for a Tuesday. See you on a Wednesday. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.